Dasa Vrindavanam Vande Krishna Dasa Prabhum Tata Chanavatar Chaitanya Lila Vistar Kadino Dvo Nityananda Parabja Karunarena Bhushito Vyakta Chano Burachincho Vavande Vyasadupino Shri Guru Gaur Gandharva Govindascha Ganaisaha Jayanti Patakaschacha Sarvesham Gurunartino. So we are continuing with hearing the glories of Srila Madhavendra Puri, chapter 4 of the Madhya Lila, Sri Madhavendra Puri's devotional service, and we've been hearing about his wonderful service, traveling to Orissa and collecting the sandalwood, and now we're going to, and so this whole pastime is coming out because Mahaprabhu's journey to Puri, right, himself. He's telling this history of Madhavendra Puri. And so now Mahaprabhu's coming to discuss this verse, a very high verse of separation that was spoken by, that came from the heart of Radharani and was revealed in Madhavendra Puri. So we'll pick up from here. Hittavoli pore prabhu tar krita shlok Jai Shlok Chanja Jagat Kayache Alok. After saying this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu read the famous verse of Madhavendra Puri. That verse is just like the moon. It has spread illumination all over the world. Gashite Gashite Jaiche Malaya Jasar Gandhabade Toiche Shloke Vichar. Continuous rubbing increases the aroma of Malaya sandalwood. Similarly, consideration of this verse increases one's understanding of its importance. Very nice analogy. Gurudev uses this analogy also, and I believe it's in his introduction to Prapana Jivanamrita. When you see in India the pujaris, not only India, but they're grinding the sandalwood for serving to the deity, and the more that you rub, then the more the essence comes out, and the aroma, the fragrance comes out. And so Gurudev, he also used this analogy, by repeated remembrance, reading, hearing, then the essence comes out, right? And our appreciation will grow. Ratnagan Madhya Joiche Kaustuba Mani Rasakavya Madhya Toiche Shloka Gani. As the Kaustuba Mani is considered the most precious of valuable stones, this verse is similarly considered the best of poems dealing with the mellows of devotional service. E shloka kohiyachin Radha Thakurani Tar kripai spuriyachin Madhavendra Javani. This verse, Gurudev, I can hear Gurudev chanting. He used to recite this verse. This verse was spoken by Srimati Radharani herself, and by her mercy only was it manifest in the words of Madhavendra Puri. Kiba Gaur Chandra iha koreya swadan, iha swaditeya nahi chotajan. Only Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has tasted the poetry of this verse. No fourth man is capable of understanding it. So Mahaprabhu, Srimati Radharani, and Madhavendra Puri. Nobody else can understand this verse. It's a very strong statement, right? And our gurus, they've discussed this point, and we understand that those who are, serving in their line, right, they may receive that grace, right, of that meaning entering their heart, who are serving in that line of Madhavendra Puri, Mahaprabhu, Radharani, then the blessing may come to them. But, Kaviraj Goswami is making a point here, right, because superficially the verse may seem straightforward, but there are so many layers of meaning and divine feeling that are being expressed here. And we can't, it's like a check right? Like, be careful, caution. It's in so many places in the scriptures we're finding caution, right? Like that Shuti Bir Vimrigyam, in that verse of expression of Uddhava, where he's saying the Vedas, they're searching after this. They don't know what this is, right? The Vedas themselves are apologizing in some places. Oh, we could not understand you. You know, this high truth of Krishna Lila, we could not understand this. Please forgive us. So then we can take that as a caution. Like, oh, don't just take this in a cheap way, right? It's not something you can immediately grasp with your mind, you know, according to your experience, but it is so much higher than that. Whatever you know, it's not that. Eho Baya, not Age Kahar, right? You're reading now in the Ramananda Samba. This is external, go deeper. So this type of caution is always given to us. And Gurudev and our Param Gurudev, you know, we're so fortunate because they've trained us to, because so many persons, they may analyze these expressions according to the language, right? According to the grammar, or like a storybook, right? Like literature, exercise in literature. You know, there are many Vaishnavas who do that. They analyze these texts in that way. But we're missing it, actually. It is all super subjective to ourselves. We always have to keep that remembrance, you know, above our heads as we're approaching things of this divine nature. Sheshkale shlok patite patite siddhi prapti hoilo pore shloker sahite. Madhavendra Puri recited this verse again and again at the end of his material existence. Thus uttering this verse, he attains the ultimate goal of life. Now this is the verse. Ayi dina dayar janata he maturanata kadavalokya se hridayam twadaloka katnam dayita brahmyati kim karomyaham. O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? O my Lord, O most merciful Master, O Master of Mathura, when shall I see you again? Because of my not seeing you, my agitated heart has become unsteady. O most beloved one, what shall I do now? So this is spoken by, you know, Radharani, as we said, in this mood of separation. Krishna has, you know, there's this feeling that they have, the Radharani, the gopis, the residents of Vrindavan, that Krishna's abandoned us, right? You know, he's left us, and he always says he's coming back, but he doesn't come back. And so there's this heartbreak and feeling of abandonment. And so there's this appeal here, you know. But you know, there's an appeal, and there's also a little, you know, there's some, what's the right word? I don't want to say irony, but there's like some poke here at Krishna, because in particular this phrase, Mathura Nath, right? You are the Lord of Mathura, right? Like he's indicating, like, you've forgotten us. Like, there was one occasion I remember Gurudev explaining this verse, and the disappearance day of Madhavendra Puri, it would generally fall on like the second day of our Navadvip Dham Parikrama. It would be like the day after Ekadashi, and it was a short day of Parikrama, that second day, and so in the afternoon we would like finish the Parikrama like by 11 or 12, and then come back for lunch, and then around 4 we would have a program in the Nat Mandir. And Gurudev used to come for that, which was very significant because Srila Gurudev didn't come, he would only come to the temple in those later years, right? He would only come on the very big festivals like, Gaur Purnima and Srila Sridhar Maharaj's appearance day. It was like maybe 3 or 4, 5, in the year that he would come. And so the fact that he came on that, and he always wanted a program on that day, and it was like in the middle of the Parikrama, right? So it was very significant, And I remember one year when Gurudev came and he spoke very beautifully. We have that recording. But I remember he explained this phrase, this Mathura Nath, and how like the subtext is like, you used to be Vrindavan Nath, like you used to be the Lord of Vrindavan, now you've forgotten us, what happened, now you've become the Lord of Mathura, So there's this deep feeling of heartbreak. Ishlok padite prabhu hoila marchite, premete vivash hoya, porilo bhumite. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited this verse, he immediately fell to the ground unconscious. He was overwhelmed and had no control over himself. Aste vyaste kole kori, nilo nityananda, kandan koriya tabe utte gora chandra. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell to the ground in ecstatic love, Lord Nityananda quickly took him on his lap. Crying, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then got up again. Preman mad hoilo uti, iti uti dai, hunkar koroye hase, kande nache gai. Exhibiting ecstatic emotions, the Lord began to run here and there, making resounding noises. Sometimes he laughed, and sometimes he cried, and sometimes he danced and sang. Ayidin, bole bar bar, kantenani sadevani netre ashundar. Mahaprabhu could not recite the whole verse. He simply said, Ayidin, repeatedly. Thus he could not speak, and profuse tears were in his eyes. Kampasveda, Pulakashu, Stamba Vaibhanya, Nirved Vishajanya, Garva Harsha Donya. Trembling, perspiration, jubilant tears, shock, fading of the bodily luster, disappointment, moroseness, loss of memory, pride, joy, and humility were all visible in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. Ishloke ugadila, premer kapat, Gopinath sevak deke, Prabhu premanat. This verse uncovered the door of ecstatic love, and when it was exhibited, all the servants of Gopinath saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dance in ecstasy. It's a very beautiful line. Eshloke ugadila premer kapat. This verse, it opens the door of divine love. Very beautiful line. That article we found, that name we put, the door to divine love, from here. Kapat. Loke sanga deki, prabhabaya hoilo, takare bhog sari arati bajilo. When many people crowded around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he regained his external senses. In the meantime, the offering to the deity had been finished, and there was a resounding arati performance. Takore shoyan goraya, pujari hoilo bahir, Prabhu age ani dilo prasad bharkir. When the deities were laid down to rest, the priest came out of the temple and offered all 12 pots of sweet rice to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yendeki Mahaprabhu Ananda Badilo, Bhaktagane Kao Jaite Panchakir Loilo. When all the pots of sweet rice, the remnants left by Gopinath, were placed before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very pleased. In order to feed the devotees, he accepted 5 of them. So they presented all, it's like 12, right? I think it's 12 that they offer. Yeah, they offer all 12 to Mahaprabhu, and he takes 5 for his devotees, not for himself. Satakir pujari ke bahudiya dilo, panchakir pancha jane bantiya kailo. The 7 remaining pots were pushed forward and delivered to the priest. Then the 5 pots of sweet rice the Lord had accepted were distributed among the 5 devotees, and they ate the prasadam. Gopinath rupe jadi koriyachin bojan, bhakti dekaite koilo prasad bakan. Being identical with the Gopinath deity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had already tasted and eaten the pots of sweet rice. Yet, just to manifest devotional service, he again ate the pots of sweet rice as a devotee. So, as Gopinath, he took the boga, and then as Mahaprabhu, he's taking the prasad. Must be some sweeter taste. Nam Sankirtane se Raji Goaila Mangalarati Deki Prabhate Cholila. Mahaprabhu passed that night at the temple, engaged in congregational chanting. In the morning, after seeing the Mangal Arati performance, he departed. Gopal Gopinath Puri Gosaira Gun Bhakta Sanghe Shri Mukhe Prabhu Koilas Vadan. In this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally tasted with his own mouth the transcendental qualities of Gopalji, Gopinath, and Sri Madhavendra Puri. Eto akyane kohila, dohar mahima, Prabhu bhakta vatsalyar bhakta prema sima. Thus I have described both the transcendental glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's affection for his devotees and the highest limit of ecstatic love of God. Shadayukta hoya iha shune je jan, Shri Krishna charane se pai premadan. One who hears this narration with faith and devotion attains the treasure of love of Godhead at the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. Shri Rupa Raghunath Bhare Jaras Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Das. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Shri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Das, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. And we've come to the end of that chapter. And maybe we can read a little from that article I wanted to read yesterday. Oh, you're thinking ahead. I've got it right here. Thank you. There were 2 articles I wanted to read, actually. But maybe we'll start with this one. I wanted to read yesterday about this point about separation. So this is an article we published on Gaudiya Darshan, The Door to Divine Love. And they're excerpts from the commentary of both Bhaktivinoda Thakur and also Saraswati. They both wrote their own commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. And so they're excerpts from their commentaries on that chapter that we just went through. And there's some really beautiful points here. So here we are. So this is from Saraswati Thakur's Anubhashya. Separation from Krishna, spiritual separation, is the soul's only aspiration. Repentance produced by material separation is simply an expression of material attachment. Repentance produced by material separation is simply an expression of material attachment. But repentance produced by separation from Krishna is the greatest expression of the desire to please Krishna. So this feeling of repentance or like a feeling of lamentation, the pain of separation, this is only possible if there was attachment, right, in the first place. So we experience that in a material sense, that we will lament over the material things that we were attached to. So it's the evidence of attachment. But then on the spiritual side, that is also true in connection with Krishna. If we have real attachment to Krishna, then this feeling of some pain, repentance, separation, lamentation, that will come out in the separation. And so it's evidence of the greatest desire to please Krishna. The evidence of the deepest type of love. The original Mahajan, Sripad Madhavendra Puri's extraordinary desire to please Krishna, is the one and only ideal and precedent for souls who aspire to serve Krishna. Srimad Mahaprabhu and his intimate devotees later followed and demonstrated this. So that's from one commentary in one verse, and then commentary in another verse there. In the natural conduct of devotees with intense divine love, it is seen that sadness, troubles, and so on, that are contrary to the fulfillment of their personal desires, do not obstruct them. Rather, in the midst of hundreds and thousands of troubles and constant sadness, devotees reveal their love to the fullest extent. So even in the midst of so many troubles and obstacles, their desire to serve is persistent. Souls who have intense love for the Lord do not consider any of the scarcities, troubles, or sadness of the external world. And then there's another quote here. Know for certain that a devotee's apparent distress is actually their ecstatic spiritual joy. Let's see. That was the main part that I wanted to... Well, maybe I'll read this. Maybe I'll read them. This is a commentary of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. From that chapter. The Vaishnavas who propagate pure devotion on the basis of the Vedanta are divided into 4 sampradayas, schools. Amongst them, Sri Madhavendra Puri selected the sampradaya of Sri Madhva Acharya and accepted Vaishnav sannyas. From Madhva Acharya up to Sri Lakshmi Pati, the guru of Sri Madhavendra Puri, there was no devotion in Shringara Ras, Madhura Rasa, in this sampradaya. The devotion that they had can be understood through the discussion Sriman Mahaprabhu had with the Tattvavadis during his tour of South India. Sri Madhavendra Puri sowed the seed of devotion in Madhura Ras by writing this extraordinary verse. The purport of the verse is this: service to Krishna offered following the mood, bhav, of Srimati Radhika's outpouring of paramount divine love in separation from Sri Krishna when he accepted the kingdom of Mathura is supreme. So this is, in other words, this is the mood expressed in this verse. It's an expression of the highest type of service to Krishna. This very specific mood he's pinpointing. Radharani in separation when Krishna's left Vrindavan. This particular mood. And, we can also perhaps mention here that, Bhaktivinoda Thakur expressed this sentiment that he wanted to spend his last days in Kurukshetra, not Vrindavan, because it was in Kurukshetra that Krishna and the Braja Gopis, they met for the first time after 100 years of separation. And at that time, instead of getting relief, their separation reached its acme point, right? And so this particular mood, right? And why is that? Because it is not their Vrindavan Krishna, right? He's Mathura Krishna, different dress and different associates, different mood. And so their hearts even more broken, right? So Bhaktivinoda's idea was that if I can render some small service there, it will be of such great value because they're in so much need. Devotees in this rasa, considering themselves extremely poor, deen, call out to the Lord who is melted with mercy for the poor in this way. The mood of separation from Krishna is the natural mood of service for the soul. Krishna has gone to Mathura. Not seeing him, Srimati is a name for Radharani. It's used as a title, but it's also a name. Krishna has gone to Mathura. Not seeing him, Srimati's heart, so it is a name for Radharani, has broken, and she's expressing her yearning to see him. O beloved, without a glimpse of you, my heart aches intensely. Tell me, what must I do to see you? Knowing I am poor, be merciful. Similarity between this mood of Sri Madhavendra Puri and the descriptions of the mood of Srimati when she met Uddhava, which manifested in Sriman Mahaprabhu, is easily seen. Thus the Mahajans have said that Madhavendra Puri is the root of the tree of Sringara Ras, this Madhura Ras. Ishvara Puri is its sprout. Sriman Mahaprabhu is its main trunk. And the Lord's followers are its branches and sub-branches. And there's also a word for word here that Saraswati Thakur gives, and it's in his Anubhashya also. So he's breaking down the different phrases of the verse and then explaining them. Ayi is the first word. An address of Sri Vrishabhanu Nandini, Radharani, to her lover in Madhura Ras. Hey Dina Dayardra, O Lord, whose heart is melted with mercy, that alleviates separation and reveals your form, qualities, and pastimes to the poor gopis, your companions, who are heartbroken in separation. O Lord, whose heart is so soft and merciful to the gopis, who are tormented by the burning pain of unbearable separation. Hey Natha, O one and only lover of gopis such as myself, Radharani. Hey Mathura Natha, O Lord of the people of Mathura, if you consider yourself the lover of the gopis, then how can you forget us, desire luxuries, and reside in Mathura for the satisfaction of ordinary lovers there? Your hard heart is merciless towards the gopis. Karatvam, when will we, the gopis heartbroken in separation, avalokyase, see you? Hey Dayita, O dearest beloved, Twadaloka Katanam Hridayam, the hearts of the gopis, sorrowful, anxious, raving for a glimpse of you, Brahmyati, are becoming maddened. Kim karomi, what should we do now? So we can stop there. So this verse is very important for us, and Gurudev describes it as it's mentioned also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I believe the highest verse in rasa kavya, in poetry concerning rasa, divine sentiment. Shuddha Prabhu told me that once Gurudev asked him, like, which is the highest verse, and Shuddha, he said something like, well, I'm just a truck driver, Gurudev, how can I know? And Gurudev said, no, you think. And then he gave, I don't remember which verse he suggested, unfortunately. It might have been like the last verse of the Shikshashtakam, Ashli Shiva Paradatam, maybe. No, it was something in Bhagavatam. But Gurudev said no, and then he said this verse, Sayidina Dayarjanate. So we are fortunate that such a high stream can wash over us, although we are unworthy. Jai Shri Madhavendra Puri ki Jai, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Jai Gaur Premanande.